And I don't know if this rises to the level of etiquette, but it could. The other one, I'm sure, 100% sure, is a question of etiquette. And I don't even know what the right answer is. Here is the question. 569-1080, 357-5868. You're listening to KOAN and KVNT, the Glen Biegel Show. And happy Thursday, everybody. It's Keep Your Car on the Road Thursday from Payless Car Sales. We're going to be giving away a couple of $50 gas cards later in the program. And here is the question. Is it ever okay, unless you were specifically directed? I'll put that, caveat on there. Is it ever okay to leave a voicemail message in today's world? Other than business stuff, okay? Let me just build a couple of caveats. Can I have a couple? Is that all right with you, Bonnie? Is it ever okay? Outside of business, when obviously the person's job is to listen to your doggone stinking message rather than whatever the text or email that you should have been sending for regular, normal, personal interactions. Is it ever okay to leave a voicemail message? So that's my first question.
That's a very good question, actually, because etiquette is changing.
Well, I want to know. 569-1080, 569. Is it ever okay to leave a voicemail message unless you are either specifically directed or this person is an employee of someone who is being specifically paid to be annoyed by you with your voicemail messages that go on and on and on. You never get to the point, and they're sitting there thinking about your voice when they should be thinking about whatever. Okay, that's the question. 569-1080, 7 minutes after the hour. The other one, I don't think this rises to the level of etiquette, but it does have to do with what we call matching. So this was the interaction that I witnessed earlier today. Hi, how you doing? Hi. Okay, does that ring any bells for you there? Did I nail that one? Are we on board? Bonnie's busy taking a phone call, trying to do her job. So this is called matching, okay? You are not supposed to blow somebody out of the room with your hello, okay? You have to be careful. It's a gentle, it's a calm. It's supposed to be, and you're supposed to match the person. Chris wasn't trying to, he was just saying hello.
He likes my boisterous hello.
Here, poor little Chris. You know, he's just trying to live his life.
He can stop saying hello. He knows what's coming.
He's just trying to live his poor little life. He says, hi, Bonnie. Hello! Oh, my goodness.
I didn't think he sounded happy enough.
You were going to correct for that. 569-1080. It's an honest question. These are the kind of things which weigh on my mind. These are the kind of things which consume me. And I think, really we are due answers to the question being, is it ever okay to leave a voicemail message? Why don't you tell me who's on whatever line they're on and go ahead and put them on. I'm arguing with my computer at this point. I'm going to tell it hello in a really boisterous way, which might include some kind of a deletion or whatever.
This is Mark from the Valley.
Mark from the Valley. Good to hear you. Nice to have you on.
Do you hear me, Glenn?
I hear you.
Okay. Better question is it ever okay not to leave a voicemail message?
Ooh, you're coming back in my kitchen. You're cooking with all my pots and pans.
That's the biggest thing. Is it's ruder when you go in and call and don't leave a message than if you call and leave a message.
Okay.
But see, you just assume they've seen that you called because of caller ID now.
That is your message. I mean, what other message do you want? I want you to cook a cranberry pie. Really?
No, it's whether or not it's urgent to call you back or whether or not you can call them back later.
I do have to concur. I really am annoyed when people don't leave me a voicemail message, but I don't do it either.
You guys are wrong. Totally, absolutely not.
Hold it, Glenn.
Go ahead,
you're wrong, but then again, you've got the right to be wrong.
That's right. You're absolutely right. By the way, hello, Mark. How about that? How you like that one? Gotcha.
That's fine. That's fine.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Mark. Let me tell you why you're wrong. Okay, unless you're calling to let someone know, there's been a death in the family. I have your dog. Whatever. I don't know. I don't know what, unless there's seriously something important to go. You left your message. Your message was, I called you. That meant I want to call you and I want to talk to you about something. What else are you going to say?
So that's why you didn't leave a voicemail last time when you called, and I was just supposed to wonder what you wanted.
What did I do immediately thereafter, after I called your phone and didn't get you? I texted you.
Yes.
That is appropriate.
Yes.
That's the only thing that's appropriate. You are gonna force somebody to call their answering service and go through what? 15, 20 messages. They don't even know how to check their phone anymore.
Who has an answering service?
Well, whatever it's called, your voicemail. Yeah, nobody checks their voicemail anymore. It's not done.
Well, it's not like
passé.
you have to press a button
it's
and
so
go to the next one.
2010.
It has a tape, like the mini tapes that they used
And
to
you got to
have.
listen to the instructions like 100 times. No, ding-a-ling.
Well,
you're supposed to push 7 to get to the next message.
That's
3
because
is
you
delete.
have an old weird phone.
I don't. I've got Note 3. This is
That's because you don't have an iPhone.
Betsy.
I'm an iPhone snob.
Betsy, don't listen to her. She's mean. And she doesn't have any idea how much more powerful you are than an iPhone, whatever.
Yeah, if you have to press 7, it's not as good as my phone.
These guys are really getting... Actually, there are little apps that you can have that will go through your messages for you. Okay, we are having a serious discussion here. The discussion is this. Is it ever okay to leave a voicemail message unless you are explicitly directed to do so? You're calling about the death of someone's family member, or that you have their dog, or they are an employee of someone. Okay, outside of those crazy, very rare circumstances, I'm just asking the question. It's 569-1080. 357-5869. Happy Thursday, everybody. And it's Stay on the Road Thursdays, by the way. We're going to be giving away 2 $50 gas cards from Payless Car Sales later in the program, 12 minutes after the hour. Yes, I realize we have lots of important things to discuss. This just happens to be something that consumes me, and we can't get away from this kind of thing. Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to the Glen Biegel Show. I will be talking about privacy and whether or not the schools are, testing your children to find out how many guns you have in the house and all kinds of stuff like that. Would love to hear from you. 569-1080, and the controversy of the day. Is it ever okay to leave a voicemail message? Todd, welcome.
Okay, Glenn, it is never okay not to leave a message.
You and Mark. How do you figure? So I know you called. I know it's you. And I know when you called. And it's on my phone. And if I wanted to call you back, I could just swipe and call you back. I mean, what else do you want to tell someone?
Okay, it's purely a matter of economic efficiency. Now, my wife has trained me that not always does she call when she calls, that she actually wants. She says, oh, it was no big deal. Well, that's a waste of my time, and it's a waste of her time. Now, if you leave me a message, I'm not saying you're my wife, but if you leave me a message, I can already solve the problem and have an answer for you when I call you back.
Okay, first of all, Todd, your wife needs psychological help, and I don't mean that in any kind of a bad way, but you can't call someone and when they call you back, say it was no big deal that you didn't want to talk to them. That's weird.
Well, I'm not saying she says I don't want to talk to you, but she answered the question herself, and so she didn't really need my answer. So what I'm saying is...
what she wanted, though, Todd, was she wanted to talk to you. I mean, that's the whole point. If she called you... Mostly she just wants to talk. That's kind of the way wives are. I'm just going to give you a little love advice.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so it's okay. But she just wanted to hear your voice and wanted to chit chat.
Now, but what about the efficiency component here? I mean, if you leave me a message, I know what you want and I can already work on an answer for you.
How many people actually want something from the other person other than just a conversation? I mean, I just think that's rare. Here's what I think should happen. I don't like voicemail. 90% of people will never even check their voicemail. And I think that basically our society has changed from this. What they want is a text message. Everybody has texting on their phone. Just text them. Just say, hey, I was just calling to find out whether or not blah, blah, blah. It's going to take you the same amount of time as hanging up because then you can text them and get it out of the way anyway, unless I guess you're driving, in which case you should voice text them.
Are you saying a voicemail is more or less personal than a text?
There's no personal. That's all done. Nobody cares about personal. You could be having a meeting with somebody and they are on their phone 90% of the meeting. I mean, that's how rude we are.
It's all a matter of urgency. There's different levels of urgencies. There's phone calls, there's texts, there's emails, there's Facebook, there's messages on Facebook.
Which is at the highest level of emergency?
I would say a phone call would probably be
a phone call, but a text message tells you immediately, I need you to get the eggs.
Well, but then you're worried that they're not looking at their phone and maybe they'll hear their phone if it rings.
Todd, the efficient thing to do is just to text the person and say, I need you to get eggs, not force them to go to their voicemail so that they waste an additional amount of time because they have 8 other messages. On my phone today, right now, there are 7 messages waiting for me to find out whatever the person wanted.
Most of us don't have a problem checking our voicemail.
Mm-hmm. Now you're blaming me. This is not about me.
Not all of us are as popular, obviously, as you are.
It's not about me. I'm just trying to let you know, Todd. All right. Fine. I'm wrong.
Have a good one.
Thank you, Todd. What can you give me a ruling on that? You as a woman, Bonnie. Okay.
It is true. I will only call if I really need to talk to my husband.
Otherwise, you'll text.
Otherwise, I do text.
Okay, but walk me through the thinking here. You call your husband. He says, oh, my goodness, my wife called me. Now, I guess I take it at this point, you didn't leave a message.
Right.
So he calls you back, and at that point...
He's like, what?
What is it?
What's going on? Why are you calling?
What do you want me to save? I'll save you.
Let me fix it.
Yes. And then you say what? What did Todd's wife say to him?
I didn't hear that part.
I think she said, well, it wasn't important.
Oh, he will know what was important enough to call or something?
Yeah, but
if she gives him a voicemail? Doesn't
she just want to talk to him?
And in the meantime, he can figure it out and know what he needs to fix.
Okay, but isn't the point of the call at some point? I mean, if it was that easy that she could just figure it out in 15 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
That she just wanted to chit chat.
Yeah. Who has time for talking anymore?
Well,
that's why texting's so amazing.
people are good. They're good at talking.
People on the radio.
People on the radio. Don't you worry though that it's really hard to establish tone? I mean, if you're texting somebody who's, not somebody who's really close, you already knows what the tone of your conversation is.
Yes, it sounds so short and emotionless. Yes.
Now, you can use all caps all the time, which some of my favorite posters on Facebook will use. Like they're screaming at me constantly, which really helps me. I did some
screaming today, by the way.
You capitalized?
On Facebook.
Really?
I did. I used a lot of caps, and I'm not a cap person, so that's when it really makes an effect.
All right. Sounds like, did you break up? Did you defriend someone?
No, I did no defriending. In fact, I gained a whole bunch of friends today. It was very exciting.
Well, it's because of our conversation about privacy in the schools. People may not know this, that the Anchorage School District actually implemented full-blown the Common Core.
Yes.
They just adopted it.
No restrictions, no apologies, nothing. Yeah.
What do you think of that, Anchorage?
Well, we all did. It's all Common Core.
Yay.
Across Alaska. It doesn't matter if there's a few different words here and there. It's all Common Core under the name of Alaska Standards.
Well, I don't know what to, I know that the teachers union is on the left, but I always thought they wanted control over their classrooms. They don't want to be told how to teach. That is the appendix. That they're going to tell teachers, you must teach this on the first day. You must tell them this on the second day. Here is the walkthrough for this. These are the arguments that you made for that. So they're going to basically, what's the purpose of you? If we actually implemented these standards, I just give teachers a little bit of a preview of the future. If we implement universal standards, you don't think somebody's going to be able to write a program that's going to be able to do what you do with very expressive facial expressions and all kinds of really neat. And Carl Sagan will walk up and he'll be talking about science and it'll be better than whatever you can do.
And you can just be the babysitter in the corner of the room looking at your iPhone. Maybe that's what they want.
Yeah. Candy Crush.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard from so many teachers who are retiring after this year. They've been in there for years and years and they're retiring because they're not willing to stifle their creativity in favor of a script.
Good for you.
Good for them, but bad for kids.
Well, somebody's got to get the message here. I figure Common Core does not have a 50% approval rating, even though the teachers union runs our school board, and we basically never win a school board election. If you don't like Common Core, 2 people to vote for, only 2. I think they want you to vote for 3, right?
Yes.
Okay, but you should only vote for 2 because these are area-wide.
Don't vote if you don't know. Don't vote for anybody.
Well, here's the 2 people to vote for: David Nees and Elisa Snelling.
Yes.
Right? Or
yes.
Elisa?
Elisa, I think.
Elisa.
That's what you were saying, and she didn't say anything to it. So.
Okay. Well, if I was saying it, of course it's correct. She can text me. I do not want a voicemail message on the proper pronunciation. You listen to the Glen Biegel Show 24 minutes after the hour. So that pilot, did you hear the story about this plane?
I don't know what to think about it.
Well, this is my thought. I don't think they haven't come up with anything having to do with. So this is a scenario of this plane that crashed, Lufthansa plane over in France, and it was carrying 3 Americans actually died on it, but 150 people got rammed into the side of a mountain. So there's a pilot and a co-pilot. Pilots had years and years of experience. Co-pilots had a few years of experience. The pilot leaves the cockpit. The co-pilot locks the door. Now, these are reinforced doors. You can't get through them. I think with a firearm, you might have a chance, but you're probably going to have to do some pretty significant shooting in order to get that door open. So the guy, the plane starts heading down, and the guy's rapping on the door, and then he's banging on the door, and then he's pounding on the door, and then he's trying to break down the door. And it's pretty clear, but obviously just before they crashed, that this guy's taking them all out. So I'm, I didn't get any sense that there was any jihadist.
Maybe he had a heart attack, and he just.
No, he locked the door.
Well, does it look behind them when they leave?
Maybe I don't know that. Yeah, I guess that's possible. This is where my mind thinks is that the co-pilot wanted to get back to the pilot for something, that there was a personal situation going on there.
Oh,
Because
geez.
generally you don't want to kill 150 people that you don't know.
Right.
Unless you're a jihadist, and they haven't come up with anything like that. So that's where my mind went. I guess the guy who crashed the plane that was where it was off Indonesia, he actually wanted to commit suicide, and he was having money trouble, and he was really mad at his wife, so he killed 170 people on the plane. What is going on with people? The shooting other people while you're in the act of committing suicide seems to me
it's very strange
to be very new.
Troubling.
569-1080, 26 minutes after the hour. Have any thoughts on whether or not you should leave a voicemail message? I have two people now who are telling me that
people are actually messaging you telling
I am wrong here, and that people should leave voicemails. It's my opinion that we've moved on from that. That's old technology, and your spouse, your girlfriend, your friend wants to upgrade you to version 2.0 of friendship, which does not include the voicemail leaving enhancement or degradation, right?
Well, and what occurred to me is now you can leave a voice text.
Yeah.
You can, instead of leaving a voicemail, you can leave a voice text.
My wife says there's some kind of visual voicemail app that tells you that will go out to your voicemail, download it, and it's there on your screen. Voicemail 1, voicemail 2, voicemail 3, who sent it, and also, how long it is and that kind of stuff. So it makes it a little bit easier to get the voicemails, and I definitely need something like that. I guess I need to upgrade my technology interactions. 27 minutes after the hour, I'm hoping to talk to let's go to the phones here. 569-1080, 357-568. Unnamed caller on line 1. Go ahead.
Hey, this is Jenna Lynn.
Hi, Jenna Lynn. How are you?
I'm doing fine. You wanted to talk about leaving voice.
You got a thought on it? Should you leave a voicemail message or not?
Yes.
You should. Okay.
Well,
you like it when your friends call you and leave you a voicemail message.
Okay. Now, number one, I probably don't listen to it. I see that they have called me, and I call them straight back.
Okay, I'm with you. But you still want them to leave a voicemail message just in case.
Absolutely. I want to know when my daughter calls me about my grandson who said, "Oh, he burped."
Oh, how about that?
And there we go. And I say, "Yeah, I like to hear that stuff." But
well, for that, you should just call them back. I think we're all on board. Hey, thanks so much for calling. We got to go. We're out of time. 569-1080. Stay tuned. I'm going to do my Tom Anderson impersonation because I just love that guy. If you haven't heard his show, hello, it's Tom Anderson. Good morning, Alaska. He just does a great job. He's so much fun to listen to. And a lot going on his show. So I recommend it to you. 6 to 9 a.m. Our sponsor for this hour of the show, Dr. Dan Kiley. If you want to smile with confidence, oh, what a difference having teeth that match your mood and your life and who you are inside. 562-9209, Dr. Dan Kiley, 4050 Lake Otis Parkway. Very easy to get to. If you're looking for a dentist or you just maybe haven't gone to the dentist in a while and are looking for somebody to take care of your teeth so it can take care of you, 562-9209, online at Lake Otis Dental. In person, everyone needs in their life a conservative dentist. Well, Mayor Dan Sullivan. Oops. Let me do that right. Hello, welcome to the show. So nice to have you on.
Why, howdy.
We got some pretty good news here about the budget for the last year, and I just wanted to talk to you about it and maybe get your thoughts on some of the political goings on here in the city.
Yeah, no problem. Our budget, of course, we're estimating a $4 to $6 million in unspent revenues, which will be, I think, 6 years in a row now that we've been able to achieve a little bit extra at the end of the year through good management and making sure every department doesn't feel compelled to spend every dime they get.
And luck. Don't forget luck, because we didn't have a lot of snow.
Well, but we've done this every year, even the year we had record snow. So
no, I know. I'm just kidding with you. I just sometimes though luck is nice, but here's the thing that people don't realize: there's a lot of other maintenance that has to be done. I saw the street sweepers out. What are they out like 2-3 months before they normally?
Even when it's not heavy snow, they've got things they can do. They can patch potholes. They can clear drains.
Can I put in a request?
Oh,
yes,
I have a new driver. He's 14, and there are no lines on the streets.
Yeah, most of the streets where you're not seeing lines are your state roads. I mean,
yes.
Light, Benson, A Street, C Street, Diamond, Tudor, Muldoon, the highways. Those are all your state-run DOT roads. And usually it's the ones with the multiple lanes where the lines are needed, because you got 2 or 3 lanes and you can't tell which is which. That's a challenge.
Yes, it's terrifying.
Well, I'll explain this. Mayor Dan Sullivan here on the Glen Biegel Show, by the way. The rule is if there are no lines on the street, there are no lanes. You can actually drive sideways down and take up 3 lanes, and there's nothing that
I told him to drive in the ruts.
That's a good suggestion.
Well, there must have been a lot of cars there to make a rut, so it has to be a lane, I guess.
That's right. That's right. It's funny. There's only one place in town that I always have a problem with, and it's because the plows don't know where the edge of the road is, and it always drives me crazy. But it doesn't have anything to do with you guys, I don't think. Mayor Dan Sullivan on the air with me. What's going on the Assembly right now? And then we'll get into this $4 to $6 million surplus and whether or not you think, because my fear, by the way, Mayor Sullivan, is this might be the last surplus we ever see with low taxes attached to it, because we've had 6 years of low tax increases and 6 years of surplus in anytime soon, because I'm worried about this election.
Well, I think there's going to be a trend depending on who gets elected. You've got, a slight more progressive majority on the Assembly. The inclination to tax the tax cap might be stronger than ever, but you got to spend it on good things, and hopefully the public will stay diligent of, as our administration transitions out. But, the thing about surpluses too is, what we do is basically one of 3 things. You either put it back into your reserves, and really strong reserves are one of the reasons you get a AAA bond rating, or you spend it on one-time expenses that you're going to have to do, like police academies, fire academies, and without going back to the taxpayers and asking for more money. Or you put it in your trust fund. The MOA trust fund's been a good earner for the city. I think the last 5-year average has been about a 10% return. So there's some options for the Assembly, and they might pick a little bit of each.
Hey, I saw an objection to selling the garbage utility. What's that called?
Yeah, the collection service. We've got an entree from a private corporation. So we're not saying we're going to sell it or not sell it, but we're doing the business evaluation. So
well, let me give you the objection, and you can walk me through it because I'm not sure that I understand it. What they're saying is the garbage collection utility or group or whatever it is, it's a municipally owned corporation or function or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah, it's enterprise.
Okay. Their objection is this. It's making money. Therefore, we don't need to worry about it. Selling it harms the city. Walk me through the thinking there because I'm not sure I really understand. Maybe I'm thinking you understand better than me.
Well, I mean, we have a private waste collection. I don't think the city feels harmed. People that are in the Waste Connection service area get their garbage picked up, get their recyclables picked up. The rates are reasonable, so I'm not sure what the harm would be. This year, the utility, I think, gross revenues were about $8.8 million, and the expenses were about $8.6 million, so they made $200,000. Well, we've heard estimates that the utility might be worth about $20 million. You invest that at 10% interest, like we've been getting out of our trust fund. Well, that's $2 million return a year instead of $200,000.
So a 10-to-1 return on investment.
Right, and those are really rough numbers because we don't know what it would sell for. And then the other thing is, you put that property on the property tax rolls, so they'll make up for the MISA that we get from the utility, which is the equivalent of property tax that we collect now. So that's kind of a wash. But so that's the analysis we're going to do. Is it better to maybe raise the rates of utility, make it more profitable, more in line with what Waste Connection charges, and get your money that way, or is it better to get the cash and maybe invest it and hope the market stays strong? So those are the kind of decisions we're going to be looking at, but there's certainly been no decision to sell yet. We have to do our due diligence first.
Mayor Dan Sullivan here on KOAN and KBNT, the Glen Biegel Show. I've got to ask you a couple of questions, one about Uber, but before I get to that one, I want to get to this Anchorage School District budget. What happened there? We got a report from Tom McGrath, who I think everybody knows he's been active in politics here for so long, but he said, really, the Anchorage School District had to spend this money. Isn't that government thinking, though, that I've got money that, it'll go back to some other use or some other function, so I have to spend it? That seems like 1980s thinking.
Well, I'd have to talk to Tom because essentially the money that they've got is, unspent revenues, just like we had at the end of the year. They've discovered kind of in the middle of the year that they feel they've got some extra cash. I think it would just fall into their reserves, just like ours does, if we don't spend it at the end of the year.
Well, what he was saying was that if the reserves go over 10% of gross revenues, then something strange happens. That the money goes back to the state or something weird.
I'll have to check into that. I wasn't aware of that little formula, but
okay.
As I consider whether or not to accept the budget or not accept it, that's the kind of homework I need to do first. Okay.
Well, yeah, give him a call. I mean, I thought it was, I hadn't heard it, and I did not read it in the newspaper. I suggested he become a reporter because it seems like he's got more information than the reporters have, and gives it to us pretty clear. So maybe check that out. What do you make of this budget? So they want to hire 64 teachers. Their budget's going up by $11 million, and I know their contracts get more and more expensive every year anyway. What's your initial take on it?
Well, I think anytime you're adding 64 positions with one-time money, that's probably not a very good budget strategy. Like I mentioned earlier, when we get one-time money, we want to use it for one-time expenses so that there's not that ongoing obligation that next year, you're going to have to ask that same question. Well, how do I pay for this? And then, you've added positions and maybe you have to delete positions. Probably a better idea to come in more conservative. And then if you're pleasantly surprised by the legislature, that's a good thing. But the legislators just wrote a letter. There's like 6 of them that signed on to it, including, the essential House leadership, saying, what the heck are you guys thinking? I mean, between what the governor's proposed and what we're clearly going to do, there's going to be a reduction, and they don't feel like the school district faced up to that.
Yeah, the school district is really out of step here with what's going on politically in the state of Alaska. I guess they feel politically protected, like nothing bad. They're going to get whoever they want on here, and then they'll just throw their weight around as they did last year.
Well, they said at the meeting that if everything goes south, like it looks like it's going to, at least in their world terms, they'll come back to the assembly and ask for an adjustment to their budget. But again, it's probably better to do that up front rather than wasting everybody's time coming back and going through it a second time. They said they're basing their budget on what they know today. There's a point to be made there, I suppose, but that means you kind of got blinders on and not looking what's happening around you.
We know today that we're at it in some rough times, and we know that there's going to be fewer kids in the Anchorage School District. I mean, they really should be right-sizing the number of employees they have so that we can afford this thing.
Yeah, I think their statistic was, I can't remember over the last X number of years, was it 6 or 7 or 8? They're down 1,500 students.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, about over the last 6, 7, 8 years, they're down 1,500 students.
So, I mean, that's not a time to, in my mind, to be adding 65 new teachers. That's, like you said, time to maybe right-size. So, anyway, we'll see how it shakes out. I've got some homework to do to decide whether or not I accept the budget or maybe make some adjustments to it with my giant red pen, and we'll see what happens.
All right. That would be rare for the Anchorage School District budget to have any adjustments made to it. Those guys are pretty powerful.
2003, I think it was.
Wirch?
I proposed, when I was on the assembly, I proposed a 1% reduction to the school district budget. It was coming in around 600 and something million. And I said, there's not a single bureaucracy that can not find 1% if you try, and it will not hurt your classroom education. It'll make you more efficient. And of course, you know what the end result of that was. I hated children, I hated teachers, and how come I'm so mean?
Well, we were wise enough though to get you twice as mayor. So I think you're the most conservative person we've ever had as mayor, other than maybe Fink. But you know how to work with people. He was he was fun to watch, but I think you got a lot done with your mayorship. Tell me about. Go ahead.
Our partnership with the legislature over the last number of years, while oil prices were high, it's just like back in Project 80s when my dad made those investments. When oil prices were high and money was coming in, we've reinvested in Anchorage between bonds and state grants over $800 million in all of our parks, our trails. Just really renewing them for another generation. It's been a great partnership with the legislature. We know those days are gone for a while, but glad we were able to do what we did when we did it.
Mayor Dan Sullivan is on with me. I got to ask you about Uber, about the port, and then I want to get your take on the mayoral situation. I heard this. You'll recognize the kind of cryptic threat that this is, and your call's welcome to 569-1080, 357-5868. Listen to this threat. Came directly from another mayoral candidate that you have not seen. It didn't come directly to me. Seen what's about to happen to Dan Coffey. Does that chill you when you hear that?
Well, it probably makes everybody wonder, well, what the heck does that mean? And, he's already taken a few body shots. It looks like the dispatch is going to do just what they did to Sean Parnell. Mm-hmm. There's going to be article after article.
Joe Miller,
yes. So once they decide who the bad guy is in an election in their minds, they've got the power to do something every single day.
Well, I'm worried, Mayor Dan, that they are going to wait till after basically the primaries, when I'm calling it, in Coffee, and then they're going to lay waste. Hold on, can we hold you over?
Yeah, sure.
All right, great. We've got some good questions, tough questions. Want to hear from you too. 569-1080. Mayor Dan Sullivan here on the Glen Biegel program, KOAN and KVNT. Happy Thursday. 11 minutes before the hour, Country Financial is there to make sure that you are ready for the challenges of this world and maybe the next. If you want to succeed in your working life with proper insurance and your retired life, they are just a place to call, protecting your cars, your homes, your lives, and your family. Give them a call, 866-COUNTRY. Go find them online at countryfinancial.com. 13 locations. This is something you want to do right across the table from a professional. 866-COUNTRY, and country is spelled
COUNTRY.
She didn't mean it. Did not mean it. Let me go back to Mayor Dan Sullivan. Welcome back to the program. I got a question for you from Karen. You ready, Mayor?
Oh, you bet.
All right, great. He's always game. Whatever I can throw at him, I love to watch him work. Karen, you're on with Mayor Dan Sullivan.
Yeah. Yes, I have a couple questions.
Oh, you only get one, Karen.
Yeah, just one.
I'm
Make
just
it good. What do you got?
Well, I have two questions. My understanding is that once the ASD budget is passed, they can use that money any way they want. There's no accountability. Money is fungible. And so I'm wondering, asking the mayor if he ever takes a look at last year's school board accounts and see how they actually spent it, if they spent it the way they said they were going to. That's my first question. My second question is, if there's a revenue surplus for the taxpayers, should be getting a credit instead of the assembly always spending that money, and would he veto that if they decide to spend the money that the taxpayers gave in overabundance that wasn't used, should come back to the taxpayers in form of a credit on their tax bills?
Do you have that kind of power? Thanks. Do you have that kind of power with the if there's a surplus, the $4 to $6 million?
Well, yeah. In fact, last year there was a surplus, and we gave $4.8 million of it back to the taxpayers by reducing the amount that we charged, for that year's.
But was that a function of the assembly? Because now we got a left-wing assembly who is not going to be interested in have their money back.
Well, it's the same group last year, and that's when we did it. So
okay.
They agreed that there should be some property tax relief. And then again, if you're paying for one-time expenses with that money that you've got to spend, rather than going back to the taxpayers for more money, you use that unspent revenue. That's actually a break to the taxpayer too, because you're not going back and collecting a second time. So as for the ASD budget, though, she's right. We approve the assembly approves the large budget number. We don't get to tell them how to spend the number. And people have actually suggested that, because of this all of a sudden found money in the middle of a budget year, that there should be a forensic audit of the school district, and maybe not a bad idea.
So we don't even know where they spend the money is kind of what the forensic audit means.
Well, no, I think generally we've got a good handle. They present a very detailed budget, right? Mm-hmm. And they don't deviate that much from it. There's some things that might change in a budget year within a department. You figure out you're going to do X instead of Z, but there's not these huge wild swings of many millions. This year, they didn't fill positions, they didn't spend money on materials and stuff, and so they say but again, yeah, I mean, whether or not that kind of audit, they're audited every year anyway, just like the city.
So we know mostly where the money's going. I got a lot of questions, Karen. A great couple of questions, and I'm glad you got to ask both of them. Moratorium on school debt reimbursement. What's that going to mean?
Well, what it means is all the bonds that have been passed already, they'll honor that commitment. But any bonds passed going forward, it's 100% up to the local property tax to cover the cost. It looks like that bill is going to pass. And so the bonds for the school district up in April are likely to challenged by the voters, because one of the great selling points was, well, the state's going to pick up 60 or 70% of the cost of these bonds. So that puts an extra challenge in front of the voters.
All right. Well, where are we at with the Uber discussions that have been going on for quite a while? It sounds like they sort of fell apart a little bit, or am I reading that wrong?
Well, not so much. I mean, we went to the table in good faith with Uber. There's some things that they don't want to do, things involving insurance, things involving background checks on their drivers. And it's kind of an interesting company. They say, well, we're just an app. But if you're just an app, how come you do inspections? How come you do background checks? That's what a transportation company does. Mm-hmm. So they want to be a transportation company light. And even the assembly, I think, has balked at just giving them free rein on being a transportation company that doesn't follow the same rules under Title 11 that cabs and limousines and everybody else does. So I like the service. I've used it in other cities. I've also used cabs in other cities. I get good service from both. But I do think you have to have a level playing field. You know, some people have suggested that maybe the city should just buy out all the taxi medallions and create just an open market out there. Yeah, one way to go, but I'm not sure that we want to spend that kind of money.
No, I'm sure we don't want to spend that kind of money. People have made their money back on their taxi licenses over the course of years. So I definitely wouldn't be for that. You know, it might be an upwards of a 3-year payout. If you bought it more than 3 years, you're out the money. If you bought it less than 3 years, you get 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, that kind of thing. I wouldn't suggest anything more than that. Tell me about the port. What's the status of this? This is one of the largest assets that the city has, really that the state has, is the Port of Anchorage. Real problems with the construction process that went on there. We rebid it and so on and so forth. So a little bit of history. Where are we at now?
Yeah, when we came into office, you know, literally within days. In fact, our transition team had put up some flags going that we're hearing there's really bad problems with the construction there. We put in halt to everything. We brought in some experts to look at the design. They've concluded, the Corps of Engineers actually did the study, that the overall design would not meet seismic requirements. So it's been redesigned, rescoped, downsized. We do successful, but that's still probably, you know, a couple of years down the pike. In the meantime, the state, you know, still sitting on, you know, 12 to 15 billion could probably, with one fell swoop, help us finish the project. But we understand what they're going through too. So it's a project that's now been righted. The ship has been turned in the right direction, but now we need money for fuel, and that's going to be the challenge going forward.
Senator Dan Sullivan here on the Glen Biegel program, KOAN and KVNT. Quick,
not senator yet, there, sir. It was
sorry,
just mayor at this stage.
Yeah, just mayor. Well, I'm trying. You could be governor. They get running for governor.